Well, thank you, Nadia. It's good to be here with you and the U.S.-Ukraine Foundation, and on a day like today, especially, it's a reminder of the important work that this foundation does, that this community is involved in, has been involved in fact, the Ukrainian American community, in an effort to have freedom for the people of the Ukraine since before the Second World War. And frankly, in 1959, Eisenhower made that proclamation addressed to captive nations and addressed to the people of the Ukraine. And since 1959, every year, we have stood from the executive branch to the Congress behind the people of the Ukraine in terms of their desire to have freedom. Now, few people have struggled as long for freedom, 1,000 years for Ukrainians, on and off, to try to obtain their independence. And I must say that this has been a very challenging period because we all know what is at risk. We all know that in this struggle between the interests of those who want to be a part of the Enlightenment, to see a democratic state, to see the Ukrainian people live free with self-determination. There have always been powerful neighbors who had a very different end in mind in terms of the independence for the Ukrainian people. And today we see that pressure from Russia playing out in the results in Kiev, the results which have all of us so worried today, all of us so concerned about the fate of those who are demonstrating, who are demanding not only their freedom, but are reminding us that Ukraine is, in fact, Europe. It's Europe by nature of its geography. It's Europe by nature of its history. Europe by its culture, but most importantly, Europe by the choice of its people. And for us in the Congress, who have stood with the Ukrainian people in the past, who have remembered the importance of the symbolism of this nation, its commitment to liberty in the minds of Ukrainians, now is the time for us to speak up. Now is the time for us to call for self-determination of the people of the Ukraine without the outside pressure from Russia. And so, as we think today about the hundreds of thousands of young people in Maiden Square, in the streets, as we remember now the memories from that Orange Revolution from some years ago, and as we see some of that replayed in the footage at night, it's important for us to again say that the future of democracy in the Ukraine is dependent upon a respect for human rights, dependent upon basic freedoms, including the right of assembly, peaceful assembly, and it is our request that those involved in the government find a way to reach reconciliation, find a way to reach out and strike a change in tone, and reach an accord which will bring Ukraine back to a democratic state which represents the will of its people. So, in hoping for that peaceful resolution, I wanted to share with you as chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee that we are going to again be engaged in this debate. We are going to be on the side of the people of Ukraine, and we thank all of you here today who have done so much over the years to do something that at one time many did not believe was possible. I remember the Chicken Kiev speech of George Bush. Many did not believe it was possible for the Ukrainian people to have their independence, to have their freedom. Well, not only is it possible, but now today, as we all recommit our efforts for the freedom of the people, for self-determination. We know it's inevitable. Let's make sure it happens without the loss of additional human life. Let's make certain that it happens quickly, that we get back on track, and that will happen partly because of the good work of this foundation. Thank you so much.